Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This channel is all about Bearbricks, collecting them, learning about them, and of course celebrating the amazing community behind them. Today, I'm kicking off a brand new series of video called Show Me Your Bricks, inspired by Dr. Romanelli's legendary Bearbrick design. This series is all about shining a light on incredible collectors and their collections. For season 1, we're starting right here in United States, where the Bearbrick scene is still in its early days compared to Asia. And I couldn't think of a better way to launch than my friend Josh, also known to us as DaddydFSU. Now, Josh isn't just any collector. He's one of the very few, maybe the only person I know in the United States who has managed to complete the entire Bearbrick Series collection. That's a huge achievement, considering the first series dropped back in 2001, and Josh had to play catch-up on over 20 years worth of releases to make this happen. So in this episode, we're going to dive into Josh's collection, hear the stories behind how he tracked down these pieces, and see what it really takes to accomplish something this rare in the Bearbrick world. Let's jump right in. Show me your bricks, Josh.
I'm a sneakerhead by heart. This is how I was introduced into Bearbricks, was buying sneakers, and some streamers had Bearbricks that were the tiny little giveaways. But one of the main prizes in one game was this Nike Tech 1000%, and I immediately had to get it as a sneakerhead. So this is really where my collection started, was with the Nike Tech 1000%. I started to learn more about Bearbricks. Certainly went after all the Nike collaborations, had to have all the 1000%, all the 400%. This is really where I thought my collection would start and stop. I didn't plan on collecting past having some Nike Bearbricks to go along with all my sneakers. As you learn more as a new collector and introduced to Bearbricks, you start to understand very quickly that there's so much that you don't know. And that's all the variations that in different series that Nike has come out with. I'm fortunate enough to be able to have fellow collectors that have been able to source me these various pieces for the Nikes, whether it's the series bricks or some of the more exclusive like the VIP here, which I am fortunate enough to have in my collection. This is one piece that I will never let go of. I'll always keep. But the Nike Bearbricks are really, again, where I thought my journey would stop. And as you'll see, it really just continued to manifest and grow from there. The next phase of my PC really focused on the Coca-Cola bricks. I'm an avid Coke drinker, and when I was able to identify that not only did they have Nikes, which I was obsessed with, but they also had Coke bricks, I had to go after these as well. I've really focused on from 1000% perspective, the Coke Atmos collaborations. I do have the other Coke bricks in the 400% and the various 100% that go along with them. But this was really the next phase of my PC, was just collecting, again, these simple pieces, nothing too overly expensive, pretty simple, but it was something that I liked. And I think as a collector, you want to buy what you like. And these really had a great, collaboration in terms of the design and the colors that I really enjoyed, and really had to become the next part of my PC. Phase 3 of my collection really is where I kind of went all in on Bearbricks. This wall used to be floor to ceiling sneakers stacked on top of each other, and I got into collecting Bearbricks on a more serious note. And really the biggest part for me was, their series, starting with series 1, and now we're all the way up to series 50. And I have kind of an obsessive personality. And as I started to understand it more, it just became this challenge to really go after every Bearbrick from Series 1 through Series 50. This took, about a year and a half to really compile. It took a lot of effort to just try and track down every single brick. Some are easier to find than others, and some are obviously more expensive than others. But it really was something that it just kind of spawned out of nowhere. There's not one brick in the series in particular that I would call out that's my favorite, but I think for me, the one that means the most to me is the fact that I was able to get the Series 1 Super Secret thanks to our friend Brick Chicago. I was able to acquire this brick. I never thought it would be in my PC. It's a very, obviously it's a super rare brick. They're very expensive, but it was something that, he was able to source for me and give me an opportunity to acquire this and allowed me to truly complete the Series 1 throughout the time was Series 48, complete all of the series collection. I thought Brick Chicago's display that he has on his wall of his PC really inspired me to kind of do that from a series only perspective. So I had enough wall space, it worked out, to take us from Series 1 all the way to the bottom corner there. There was just enough room to get all the way through Series 50, which I think is, having it kind of be that first 50 series worked out really well in terms of kind of framing this part of my PC. I think this is, for any collector, I think we do have certain favorites, but for me overall, it was just kind of the challenge and the obsessiveness of finding every one of the series bricks, acquiring them, organizing them, and kind of being able to have this, great display on my wall, just to kind of represent what was a really big journey for me as a collector, and just trying to complete what really is this difficult challenge. The next stop on my PC, and again, just kind of the journey through what's the next chase, right? What's the next thing I want to go after as a collector? It really became the Kaws pieces. Starting with the Series 4 Kaws, right? I think, we all, as collectors, usually go after at least one of these. I've been fortunate enough to collect a few over my time, but, being able to get the various 100% Kawses, the 400%, and all the way up to the 1,000%, right? Having the chompers in the collection, and then really going down to the various dissected, the red-brown dissected, in the 1,400, 100, and then the black and the gray dissected. The Kaws tension, it's not one of my, favorite Kaws pieces. So I kind of stuck to just the 400, 100% of the tension. I think if I had more room, maybe I'd add it in there, but there's a couple more pieces. My Kaws journey is not complete. There's a few more 1,000%, that I'd love to be able to acquire next, but they are, those are really expensive pieces. That's why they're the last ones I've really gone after. But, getting as many of the Kaws in my collection really became, again, I think somebody that, as an artist that's collaborated with Bearbricks, these are kind of some of the grail pieces I think that we all hope we can have in our collection. Another kind of must-have in the PC, at least for me, was, I'm from Kansas City and we don't have an NBA franchise, and the Bulls were the closest to us, and growing up in the 80s, 90s, that was a great pick as a team to have with Jordan, and so definitely being able to have the Jordan Bearbricks in the collection again was kind of a must-have for me. I've been fortunate enough to find some good sellers that could make sure that I was getting authentic, the 1,000% and the 400%. These are some of the most, replicated and bricks that exist, right? And so just making sure I could, find people that I trusted when I bought these to make sure, again, I was getting the money I was investing, I was getting legitimate pieces. And through that, I've been able to get the 1,000%, the 400, 100%, still working on the Olympic 1,000%. There's the new releases that have come out here in the last, year and a half. We'll work our way up to the 85, 1,000%, but went ahead and grabbed, the 400, 100 of those and got the full set of that, which was released the previous year. Kind of one of the last phases for me as a collector has really been just going after kind of every Bearbrick that I see, and at least means a little something to me, or maybe it's just because there's a large collaboration, so it's just kind of builds up or space in my PC. But I think this has been the thing that's been taking the longest for me, is not just acquiring the various non-series bricks, but then it was just finding a way to really organize them in my PC. Some of the categories are easier, right? You've got your Bapes. There's a ton of Bapes. It makes it very easy as a collector to kind of just organize those, putting them in the PC. You've got your Disney bricks, right? Again, lots of collaborations, various, whether it's Mickey or just Disney in general, makes it very easy to kind of organize in the PC. One thing that I did was kind of, as I got into some of the designer bricks, being able to build a display case of just designer collaborations. Maybe it's, Star Wars, and having those. But there's just a lot of different ways you can start to organize your PC. And I kind of look at it as collecting can be pretty easy. Obviously you have to have the money to do it, but finding a lot of bricks is fairly easy. But one of the hardest part for me was, once I had bought all these bricks, was, again, it was curating my collection in a way that kind of represented the brick itself, or the group of bricks I was going after, and just really being able to put that up and display it in a meaningful way. And so I've tried to do that, through various themes like this, whether it's, cartoons or animation. There's so many bricks, right? And there's so many ways you can attempt to organize it. And it's never going to be perfect, but I think I've tried to do a good job, for me at least, to come up with themes that I appreciate. And again, that will look good together, right? Something that, as I go through my collection and just kind of look at it from time to time, it gives me an opportunity to really just, I think, appreciate everything a little more, by having it laid out in this kind of organized manner. So yeah, collecting these non-series bricks has really been the last piece of my journey as a collector. And I think, Bearbricks will always come out, and there'll always be more that we want to chase as collectors. But I feel like I'm getting close to where I've kind of gotten the bricks that I want. And for me, it'll just be about, focusing in more on, when stuff comes out, what do I really like, and what do I really want to add to my PC at this point. So. The last two pieces of my collection that I really wanted to highlight, first would be the Aaron Kai Wave Bearbricks that came out. My son's name is Kai, and when this came out a few years back, this was just an opportunity for me to get something that was close to my heart in terms of my son's name. He actually started getting into Bearbricks, just was sitting next to me, watching me on streams, seeing my collection. He loves to walk his friends through my office and tell them they can see my collection but can't touch it. And so he has his own 400 and 100 Aaron Kai. He's got a blister board, but I think the Aaron Kai Waves, it's actually a nice Bearbrick. The design of the waves and the various colors are nice, but I think just the fact that it represents, for me, my son and something that we can share together. That really has meaning for me in terms of something very specific in my PC. And then the last piece that I'll highlight, I went to Florida State. Brick Chicago went to Notre Dame. We kind of have a budding rivalry, but Brick Chicago's been, I think, kind of a mentor and an inspiration to a lot of us as a collector. Not only in just having a collection, right, but we all kind of joke about it and give him trouble about his story time that he tells every stream, but his knowledge of Bearbricks, I think, really has expanded people's obsession with Bearbricks, wanting to be a part of the community. And he has been somebody that has appreciated my passion for collecting, and he did one of the most generous things that anyone, I think, could ever do for me, in helping in doing something specific for me. And he worked with an artist who does custom Bearbricks, and he was able to have created for me a Florida State 100% Bearbrick. The detail on this brick, the time and effort that went into not just him going over designs and giving the colors and figuring out the way that this should look, from the decal to how the helmet looked, but personalizing it with my name on the back. This will obviously this will never be sold, but this is something that will just probably be one of my most cherished Bearbricks that I have. Just again, because what it represents, not just because it's Florida State, not just because it has my name on it. It's the time, the effort, the friendship. I think that this grew from is something that'll always mean a lot to me, and it'll always be a feature point in my PC, and that's why it stays on my desk next to me at work every day. It's a great reminder of kind of what this Bearbrick community can be. And the type of relationships that you can build out of it. So I really appreciate this part of my PC the most over any other brick that I have. It is literally priceless.
Josh, your collection is truly incredible. I don't think I've seen so many 100% Bearbricks all laid out so perfectly. Honestly, you should apply for the Guinness World Record for the most 100% Bearbricks. No question about it. I'm really proud to call you my collector friend. And hey, as long as this video lives on YouTube, go Irish, beat the Knowles. Thanks again for sharing your amazing collection with us. We'll definitely be looking forward to an update in 2026 to see how much bigger it has grown. And for everyone watching, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, we'll be dropping new episodes of our Show Me Your Brick series every single week. So stay in tune for more incredible collections and incredible collectors. See you in the next video.